A dim light in the darkness of despair. Humanity rises again, Part 1. Well, hello, my brothers and sisters and titans and armored titans and, well, that's really about it. Of the Nerd Nation, I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another review on the awesome and grisly, grotesque and gory and potato-filled tale that is Attack on Titan. And of course, this is the series for the the English dubbed version that's been premiering, of course, or that's been on Toonami on Saturday nights here. And episode 3 was last night, and it was great. I actually just got to watch it with my wife and kids about 15 minutes ago, so everything's fresh in my mind. And honestly, this was a good one because the first 2 episodes were very, very much isolated to really focusing mostly on Eren, Mikasa, and Armin. And of course, what happened, with the fall of Wall Maria, or Maria, or however they want to pronounce it in here. And really, things kind of ended off, it was almost compartmentalized, where it ended off, and, Eren and Armin and of course, Mikasa had, joined up, and they're going to begin their road to training, to being able to join the Survey Corps, and that's kind of how things, left off over here. But this was great because it really showed you the range of the different types of voice actors that they did get, and as far as I'm concerned, everything's been done very top-notch. We were introduced in this episode to characters like Sasha, the Potato Girl, and Jean, and Reiner, and Bertolt, and several others, which is really cool. A lot of the different cadets and things like that. So I thought it was very good, and actually this was an episode that I really enjoyed when I first saw it, because when I first saw this and viewed it last year on Crunchyroll, I didn't have an idea as to the scope and size of the actual cities themselves and the room that was actually between each wall and everything like that. And so for me, the tension level was still very high, because I almost felt like their little training ground that they were in was, like they were basically like surrounded on all sides by like titans that were wanting to. I didn't think they had as much room that they actually had behind the walls. So, but a very cool episode, because we wind up getting this Keith Shardis, who's the the kind of just the you're a piece of shit private pile, like the real mean drill sergeant. He's pretty much just trying to break everybody down and just mentally be able to just destroy them, And I mean, even physically, I mean, he straight up like headbutts Jean, calls people pussies, all kinds of different stuff, makes fun of their family names, making fun of Armin. What kind of stupid name is that? And then Armin's like, it was given me from I was named after my grandfather, and Armin's grandfather, we found out, of course, in the last episode, was one of the one of the refugees that was sent out, one of the 250,000 that were sent out to reclaim Wall Maria, and of course, wound up dying. So, but anyway, for me, the highlight of the episode really has to be, because obviously it's all about training and trying to actually get a grasp on how to use this maneuver gear, and really getting to know some of the characters that are going to become, mainstays in the series over here. A lot of these different cadets that are going through training, their backgrounds, their stories. However, for me, in the first 5 minutes, when we have Sasha Blouse, the Potato Girl, this Keith Shardis is running down the lines and bitching at everybody and whatnot, and all of a sudden he looks up and you just hear. And you look over and you see this girl standing there in full uniform eating a potato, And he comes over, and the conversation was just so good. And what I liked about this version of it is it wasn't what was said on the subtitles. When things are translated from Japanese to English and they put subtitles in, they try to make it as accurate as possible to what was actually said in the source language in the Japanese. However, when you're doing a dub, you actually have to match the lip flaps and try to get words and phrases that fit in that particular amount of time that you have, because you're not going to redo animation entirely for it. So a lot of times they'll go and they'll change a sentence, a phrase, sometimes even a paragraph, to go and kind of rearrange it and fit it in there. It's almost like a puzzle to make it fit with the lip flaps properly, and so it all matches up right. But you also want the dialogue to make sense, and they did a great job with this, because the conversation as it goes is like, he's basically like pissed off thinking, why would you go and bring a potato and be eating while I'm over here trying to tear everybody down? This is we're out here, you're supposed to be in formation, and you're not supposed to be eating, right? And she's taking it as like, why are you eating a potato? And she's answering the question from its most fundamental rudimentary base, why are you eating that? Well, because I'm hungry. Well, where did you get it? I got it from the kitchen. And why are you eating it? well, it was cold, and I felt like and she goes, it was cold, it was getting cold, so I decided to give it shelter inside my stomach, sir. That line just had me, man. I was dying, you know, I was dying. Everybody's laughing. We're watching it, but the whole conversation just goes great because the like I said, she's answering the questions almost as like this, almost like as an innocent child, you know. And when he's asking the questions, they're almost like rhetorical, like, you know, like he wants her to be like, oh, I'm so sorry, I know I should never do something like that, and she's not. She has no shame about it, you know. And and then I love it because the kicker of it for me is when she splits it in half and goes, here, have half of it, you know. And in the actual in the subtitled version, when she hands it to him, it's kind of more like, here, I want to share with you. In this one, she just straight up tells him like, here, have it, it'll be good, you know, you'll like it. And I just thought it was very funny, you know. And then of course the next scene is a bunch of Eren and a bunch of the other cadets sitting around talking about how she wasn't so pissed that she wound up getting punished by having to run the rest of the day until sundown. What she was pissed about, she was more upset about having her food rations taken away for 5 days. So, but you know what though too, although it was comical the way it was done, it was you have to understand that in this world that they live in, living like rats in cages and food shortages and everything else, there's some towns and villages that just don't eat as well, you know. And for some people, joining up, you know, even though it may be certain death, it at least means until you die, your stomach's going to be full because you get square meals, you know, 3 square meals a day. So again, I thought it was very well done, you know, and not only comical, but actually goes in, you know, the comedy aspect of it, but then actually kind of, you know, roots you in and makes you feel this world that they live in. So because, you know, if you think about it, there's you know, 1 million or so people left, but you're living behind these walls. You never go out. There's only so much land. There's only, you know what I mean? You can't, as much as it sounds like a good idea to want to live in Hawaii, I don't know if I could do it like permanently because, you know, it's an island, you know what I mean? And eventually you explore the island and it's like, all right, there's nothing left. So same thing here, though. You know, you're not going to go out from behind the walls. People are, you know, born and die behind these walls. So, anyway, though, the rest of the episode, it is good. The animation, of course, very fluid. You know, the colors are great. The sounds, you know, they just do a beautiful job of, you know, just the ambient background music. Even the confrontation that was done between Eren and Jean, I thought was done very well. And actually, a lot of these scenes I'm enjoying better in the English dubbed version. And I don't think it's, and I think it's just because they're portrayed better when you actually can look at each character and their mouths and what the words that are coming out of their mouth. You feel more of a connection with it rather than reading, you know, the lines at the bottom of the screen and then using your brain to go and connect what's coming out in another language and then matching the two up or replacing it, you know, with what you think you should be saying in English. So for me, it's great, and the fact that I can obviously sit down and watch it with the family. 7-year-old absolutely loves it. And my 13-year-old, my oldest, James, is really enjoying it, as well as my wife. So we're excited for it. We'll definitely be picking up the Blu-ray. I'd already pre-ordered it when it came out. And of course, watching every week and then giving my thoughts to all of you. So, and then, you know, towards the ending of it, you wind up having the second half of it, really, it's Eren not being able to actually go and stand in these simulated, they do these simulated things where they actually lift you up off the ground a little bit and you're in your maneuver gear. And it's so you can get used to and see if you actually can have balance when you're flying through the air, right? Flying around like Spider-Man with this basically jetpack on you, and you know. So Eren cannot. He's, you know, and it's funny because after all his big talk about killing all the Titans and everything else, you know, it's almost like a joke. The guy can't even stand in his like stirrup type things that he's got. He keeps flipping over upside down, you know. And it winds up coming to him that night. He's freaking, man. He's asking anybody and everybody for help, even people who've, you know, already shown that they're just kind of assholes, you know. And really just trying to get a grasp and a handle on things, practicing, you know, all night into the morning. And then he winds up getting up in the morning and goes out there, and he's, you know, if he doesn't stand in these, you know, stand up and be able to obviously keep his balance, he's going to be a washout. He's going to be sent to the fields, and he's going to have no choice of joining the military, you know. So he winds up standing in it for a few seconds and then flips upside down again, you know. And this Keith Shardis comes over and winds up having him get down and actually switch belts with another guy. And then Eren's fine, right? And it turns out that he had a faulty belt on, and they never explain it. At least they haven't in the anime, but I don't know if anybody tried to sabotage it, you know, purposefully on him, or what. It would seem like that, because he talks about how he's gonna, you know, he's gonna tear the quartermaster a new one. And I like too, because they throw in some straight out. I mean, they're dropping some shit bombs and everything else. As far as I mean, it's definitely raw. They're doing a good job, I think, with it, with the translation of it. But the bottom line is that Eren just like by sheer force of will with faulty gear that by no standards whatsoever should, like if you're in a car and it has no brakes, you shouldn't be able to stop, right? Like Eren made the car stop with no brakes. He stood for a few seconds in there with this faulty belt. And I think that's a testament to his will and his willpower and his desire and determination to kill all these Titans moving forward. And for me, it's symbolic, you know, because if you could do that much with faulty gear, imagine what you could do with actual legit gear. Because then he shows once he has gear that works, he can stand there and hold himself. And really, that's how the episode ends. At the end, you get a great scene though, where they've got full gear on and everything like that. You assume it's probably months later, you know, after they've been training, and they're flying through the woods. And I just love the way that the camera pans and spins around, and as you see them go and fire out these projectiles, and they remind me very much of Spider-Man, because it's almost like you fire out one of these grappling hooks, you know, and then you use the propulsion system to move you forward, but then they can actually change their trajectory by turning their body, using the muscles in their legs. It's very, very cool stuff, and even though, you know, logistically it probably wouldn't work in real life, they give a damn good explanation, and it makes you still want it. I mean, just like in Back to the Future 2 when I was a kid, I wanted a freaking hoverboard. Simple as that. Never had an interest in a skateboard, but I want a damn hoverboard, you know? So, if it doesn't exist, give me two, you know? But very, very cool stuff. A very good episode, and certainly enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to the next one. And it's really difficult because I've seen the series. It's difficult not only in these to not kind of talk about future events, but also as I'm watching it with my family, because they want to ask me, well, what happens with this? Well, what happens with that? Does Eren actually kill all the Titans? You know, and I'm just like, oh, I want to tell you, but I can't, you know. So it's so I definitely can feel it, you know, obviously the spoilerish nature wanting to come out, but I've just been, you know, Mom has been the word, and they're enjoying it, and I'm enjoying it with them. So very good episode. My episode question for you, though, brothers and sisters, is number one, what were your thoughts on Sasha, the potato girl, and just the kind of comedy element that she brought to it, the sort of lighthearted element that I thought picked up from that downtrodden first two episodes. At the end of the second episode, let's be honest, you felt hopeless. You kind of wanted to slit your wrist, you know. But at least for me in this episode, you know, she kind of gives you a little bit of a bright spot, and you think, okay, you can still smile. And then the second part of my question is, what were your thoughts on Eren and being able to stand with a faulty belt and still just kind of exert his force of will, which I thought was very cool. And then there was some other good background stuff as well about where Bertolt and Reiner, you know, came from, and really just kind of a lot of the background into why people joined up, you know, what happened to them. And many of their stories are very sad ones where, you know, the fall of Walmaria, they were on the front lines, or they were, you know, in the path of destruction. So, but leave your answer to those questions in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We'll look forward to catching all of you in the next Fun Nation.
Remember to follow me on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and my other channels as well.